Alright, boys. Today we got risk management video. I ain't gonna lie, this is probably well awaited. This is probably a pretty well awaited video that a lot of people want to see. And I'm here to explain risk management, how to risk on these funded accounts, live accounts, the difference, how I personally risk, and how I think that y'all should risk. For all the examples, I'm going to be using a 50K funded account just because I feel like that's the easiest. And if you have a 100K funded account or a 150K funded account, just times it by 2 or 3. Right? All right. Now, simply, what is risk management? Why does everyone say it is so important to trade? And things like that. First of all, what risk management is, I believe it's one of the more important components of psychology behind trading. What I mean by this is, regardless of your setups, regardless of whatever you take, regardless of however you execute your trades, if you don't manage the risk on your trades, if you're over risking or under risking, you'll never get paid. For example, if you're over risking, you could hit 3 to 4 good trades. This is what used to happen to me. I'd hit like maybe $1,000 trade, $1,000 trade, $1,000 trade, $1,000 trade. And then one day I would over risk maybe $2,000, and then half of my buffer is gone. Right? So what I'm saying is, the goal of trading is to minimize your risk, maximize your reward, while also, ensuring that you're risking at a proper point on the price action, right? I'm not just risking the risk, I'm placing my stop loss at a position that I feel is likely to for the trade to be fine. And actually, I'm gonna pull up my charts right here. Give me a second, and then I'll share everything. I'll share the screens and stuff. But wait, is it paused if I do that? I don't think it's paused, right? Is it paused? No, it's not paused. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. So risk management, right? You want to ensure that you are placing your stop loss at an appropriate time. I'm trying to go to today's price action to show y'all an example. While I did not like any NQ trades, which is why I'm really not making a trader recap, because I feel like there's no good content in there. Just because I didn't like the price action. I did like this trade on ES, although I don't trade ES, but I'll explain why I liked it and what I would have risked there. And then I'll explain how we do this on NQ as well. Okay, perfect, boys. So risk management, in essence, you want to be risking a proper amount of money to make more money. But you don't want to risk too less, because if you're risking too less, your reward is going to be too less, which means that you're not going to get paid out properly. Now, if you're risking too much, your profit levels are going to be hit hardly whenever you take loss. And every trader takes a loss, so it's part of the game. It's natural. So y'all just want to lock in and, get your risk management straight. Now, to the well-awaited question, the 3 components, or not 3 components, there's multiple components of risk management. I'll start off with the first one that's easy. How many trades a day should you be taking? Me personally, I think these are the rules that I live by. I think 1 trade a day is very, very ideal. 2 trades a day is good, and anything above that's overkill. Now, what do I mean by this? For example, if you're trying to long, right, you get a sweep of the London lows, an invalidation of 5-minute gap. You take it, you put it below the 1-minute low, take profit at a 15-minute high. You get stopped out, and then your stop loss goes through a former low. You form an SMT on the high time frame. That makes for a re-entry. You got stopped out and liquidated because price was trying to get more liquidity in order to go up. So if you get stopped out there, I think it's fine for you to take a second trade with slightly less risk, just due to the fact that the probabilities of it hitting are nice. Now, if you're just taking a bunch of continuation trades over and over, the odds are that you're not likely to hit your trade. And I still do think anything over 2 is overkill, regardless of how good the setup is. And obviously, if you get a win on the first trade, I usually stay off. I usually close out of everything, go take a shower, and then try to make a video. But that's that. I think 1 to 2 trades is ideal. Now, to the risking portion. How much should I risk? Now, I will show y'all that right here. So there's ES. I think I did like 8, maybe something like that. Okay, there's ES and there's NQ. Now, ES is about, okay, so here's a trade that I like today, right? We formed this high time frame SMT towards the downside, making ES the lagging index. We sweep out these session highs with a reaction invalidation stops right here. Stops above this 1 minute high. Take profit at the London low. Now, if you put 1 mini on this, right? 1 mini on this, one tick on a mini is 12.5. This, if you go to the position tool, right? The position tools are, this is the long position, the short position. If you go to the position tool, this is 40 ticks on ES. On ES, let's do some quick calculations. This is perfectly $500. And I'm going to make about 650. That's an ideal risk reward, in my opinion. Now, now here's the way that I'll explain it. This is for ES specifically. So, on a 50K account, 50K funded, you want to be risking $500 per trade, because drawdown is it's 2K. So no trader, no profitable trader really loses 4 trades in a row. You can go a little bit above, like 550 to 600, but anything above 600 is overkill. And there's a way to scale down your risk as well. So your drawdown is 2K, and you want to be risking anywhere from a 1 to 1.5 to a 1 to 1.3, right? Now here, we didn't really get that 1 to 1.5, but in my head, this is literally an A+ setup. I can't see any reason why not to take this. So I would have took it anyways. Now, if we search up an ES micro contract, it's not showing. But I was hoping that it would say it in like AI, so it was easier for y'all to understand. But basically, a micro contract is 1/10 of a mini contract. So if one tick on a mini is 12.5, what's 12.5 divided by 10? One tick on a mini for ES, a micro for ES is $1.25. Now, let's say that I entered after this bearish variety gap, right? And right here, I was like, low key, I want more confirmation, but I still want to put and I still do advise to put stop losses above highs or lows. I don't advise to put them at fair value gaps for a very, very good reason. Now, let's say that I'm like, oh shit, well, these shorts look so crazy, man. Honestly, like, I think that the bottom of this gap is for sure going to get filled. And I also think that there's gaps over here that I think are going to get filled. And yeah, so I think that these gaps are going to get filled because, like, I'm tough. Bro, what the fuck am I saying? But I think these gaps are going to get filled right here. So I'm risking, like, about here. Now I have a 1-to-1, a true 1-to-1. But there's a problem. I'm risking 58 ticks. Now, if we go and do 58 times 12.5, I'm risking 725. Now, that's a little bit overkill. But we also remember that each micro contract is $1.25, right? So, how many contracts should we risk on this? Let's try 8. That would be 10. 10 times 58, 580. Now, 1.25 times 7, 8.75 times 58, 507. So now, on the other hand, if we do 7 micros, we're closer to our $500 risk to reward. Now, if we do 63 times 7, 441 times, wait, that's not the math. It's 12.5 times 0.7, 8.75 times 63. We're basically risking 500 to make 550. which is ideal in trade setups like this. Now, ES is the harder one to understand. NQ is very, very easy. And we don't even, actually, we probably need a calculator just because we're all idiots. But, all right, let's say again, regarding all of this, I think shorts in the move right here because we invalidated, or we filled in this 1 minute gap and got a bearish reaction, and we made this SMT right here. So I'm like, okay, boom, we're gonna take shorts right here, stops above this high for whatever reason, and take profit is at the top of this bearish value gap. Now, what was I gonna say? So basically, our stop loss is 129. Low key, it'll probably be easier for me to remove all this. So let's just say that for whatever reason I wanted to go short here, and my take profit was like right here or some shit. So now we're risking 137 ticks on this trade. Now, each tick on NQ is $5. You can see these are ticks right here. So now I'm risking 137 times 5, 685. So I'm risking 685 in this trade. One thing I would say is you really want your stop loss to be 100 to 110 ticks on NQ. So this is a little bit of an overkill just because I'm risking 685. But each tick on NQ mini. And then if you go to each tick on NQ micro, that's about 50 cents. Remember 1/10? So 0.5 times 7, 3.5, and then we times that by 137. That's more ideal or risk. And then if we do 3.5 times 355, we're making about 1,200 off of risking 479. Pretty good 1 to 2.5. And idealistically, another thing with risk management that's very, very ideal is break evens, right? You see these lows right here? Right here, I would have gotten break even. We swept these lows. We got very, very close to our entry point, but we can get break even. Now, break even, it's a good way to avoid risk and get risk-free trades. And that's what I like doing. I like going break even a lot. And I also like trailing my profits, which is like, all right, let's say we form this fair value gap right here, and this trade is looking very, very volatile. I would set my stop loss to right here, to at the top of this gap, right? Or I would just keep it pushing until all the way to the downside until my TP's hit. And these are just sort of ways that you can improve like your risk management and make sure that you're not risking too much money. Again, sometimes you gotta let your nuts hang just for the fuck of it, but I'm just saying that. And like I said, what else did we recap? Oh yeah, you always want to keep your stops above a high or low. Fair value gaps tend to get invalidated a lot of times. A clear example of this is, well, I don't really got any. At least not in today's price action. Jeez. But that should really be it for risk management. If there's any things that I missed, just let me know in the comments. I don't really see like, oh, okay, let's say that I want to go short here. And I take, okay, my fault. I take my trade. I take my trade right here. Well, that's not a good idea. That's not like a good example. Okay, this is perfect right here. Wait, is there even a fair value gap? Okay, let's pretend that this is like, for some reason we decided to go long right here. We decided to go long right here, and we put our take profit at this fair value gap. We would have gotten stopped. Now, if we put it at this low, on the other hand, right, and then we target some shit like this, that shit would have smacked. And that's why we put it below low, so ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I appreciate y'all. Y'all boys have a great one. I hope this taught y'all about risk management.